I have a super special guest with me today, Mr. Ollie Billson. Welcome, Ollie.
Thanks, Ali. Yeah, good to be here. Thank you.
So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what you do, and kind of what your specialties are?
Yeah, sure. So I predominantly spend most of my time now helping entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses through selling their knowledge and advice online in some form of information, coaching, product, mastermind. But the backdrop to this was starting a business at the age of 15,
Wow.
never working for anybody, and being quite lucky along the way, as well as falling into a lot of pitfalls that you do on your entrepreneurial journey. But growing 5 separate 7-figure businesses and one into 8 figures that we've been able to accomplish before actually helping other people kind of do the same, really.
So impressive. I mean, there are not that many people out there that have done that, at least that I've been able to find. So that's amazing. I mean, never working for anybody else is kind of the dream. I'm sure it would be shocking should you ever go into that scenario because it's a totally different life. And I'm sure there are people listening that have similar experiences. I know some of our students, they worked in their family's business and then they became an entrepreneur. So I think sometimes it's just all you ever know, but do you feel like that has really helped you in terms of being able to see what people are doing incorrectly, never knowing those bad habits that they may have picked up on from previous employers?
Yeah, I think that I never really had a format to work from. So in some respects, that was a blessing, but also a curse in a lot of ways. So I kind of had to navigate my own way and seek help and guidance and coaching along the way to keep me on the right path and to enable me to model other people that had obviously been successful before me. So from a very young age, in the early days, like 16, 17, 18 years old, I was just very lucky that I kind of took a bit of a path that led me down a road of just learning some very solid foundational principles when it came to marketing and sales that allowed me to efficiently grow businesses that then kind of leads you in these different stages. I think that the analogy is kind of what gets you from one phase of business won't get you to the next. And that's very true. Somebody that's, trying to make their first 6 figures is a different type of person that's trying to grow to their first 7 figures, 7 figures to multiple 7 figures, and 7 figures to 8 figures. They're all different, and they command different challenges and different obstacles along the way. And of course, you as the business owner need to grow, and your business will only grow as quickly as you can grow. So it's important to recognize these barriers and challenges, and then to kind of double down on what you need to learn and what you need to implement, what you need to be part of at each step of that journey, really.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I have noticed within my own business. Obviously, it really is just a constant challenge. That quote that I really like, I actually had it made on a picture for my office, but new level, new devil. Every time you grow to a different size, there are so many different things to think about and things that most of us have never had to deal with before. So it's just really opened my eyes to the importance of coaching and having mentors that have been there before to really open your eyes to things you may not have seen yourself. So when it comes to local businesses, can you tell me a little bit about some of the work that you've been able to do with them in the past?
Yeah, sure. Well, I can talk about it on both sides. First, initially, my proper business that I got into when I was about 18 really was in the automotive sector. And I built a local window tinting business that did automotive, residential and commercial window tinting. And in the UK at the time, that was kind of a bit of a niche. Like in the US, that's always been fairly prevalent in the market, just because of how hot it is in some parts of the country. And so in the UK, we just don't have great weather, and that hasn't been. But for the aesthetic, for the appearance, it was a bit of a niche. And so I initially had started, before building that business, I built a local car detailing business, and then I bolted on window tinting to it. And that's where things started to pick up the pace for me. And so I built that business up really kind of a bricks and mortar location. And then in order to kind of expand and to scale, then we had to either we had a choice, do we open multiple stores and multiple units, multiple outlets, or do we go down the route of kind of duplicating our format, our business system in other areas? And so that's the route that we decided to go down by franchising that business and creating a business in a box, our exclusive opportunity for what we were doing, because we were doing it really well. So really for me, that was kind of like actually doing it and growing it, but then also helping other people follow my format, which was an interesting journey. Then also now probably on the other side that we also have local businesses that work with me in our coaching program at nextlevelbusiness.com. And so I get to see it from working with lots of different types of businesses, from dentists, plumbers, roofers, through to, other bricks and mortar type businesses as well, and using strategies to be able to help them grow.
First off, I mean, how amazing is it that by 18 years old, you were building a business that would become a franchise? I mean, do you feel like you simply had natural talents and gifts that allowed you to do that at such a young age, when you clearly didn't have, decades of experience under your belt at that point to be able to do something of that nature?
Well, the truth is, I was probably putting the cart before the horse at that time. I mean, I remember speaking to one of my customers at the time who used to, I used to, it was the best thing in the world. This guy used to let me go and pick his Ferraris up and drive them back to our little unit where we would detail them for him. And, he was a international business guy. And I remember telling him that I had this kind of vision for what I wanted to create. And he was like, Ollie, listen, this is so much bigger than you that you're just not going to be able to really do this the way you think you are. And although I respected him and I took on board some of the things that he said, I kind of went against that in a way. And a lot of it was kind of actually born out of the start that I got with that business, because some people, when they start a business, they probably have a skill or an idea and then they develop it into something. And I didn't have a skill. I had to learn window tinting in order to provide the service. So it wasn't an idea. I needed to learn the skill. And so I went on a window tinting course and it was terrible. And I just wasted a lot of money and it was a really bad experience. And I just thought, if ever I was in a position in the future, which then ultimately I was, where I could actually give people the right start and help them along the way to get them set up so that they could prosper and fulfill their dreams of whatever it may be. At the time, I didn't know we would literally train thousands of people all over the world in how to start a window tinting business, but that's what we did. And it was very rewarding at the time to, I think the first time I ever trained somebody and duplicated what I was doing to, now that's about Facebook ads and it's about, how to use a reach objective and how to do a big cap on Facebook, right? Back then it was a skill that was just different. And I loved teaching and I loved helping people, and that feeling to be able to pass off that knowledge, that system, that format to somebody that they could follow was just so, just really drove me on and really motivated me to continue down that path of helping as many people as I could. I helped a lot of people quit their jobs, and I sold that business last year. And, I look back and I just think, we actually had this thing called Join the Revolution. And it was how many people we got to their first 60,000 in salary, how many people got to the 100,000 club. And then how many people quit their 9-to-5 jobs? And it was just a great thing, in such a weird niche, really, you know.
I love that. I mean, that is just such a powerful story because I really don't think that too many business owners believe that the business that they're creating right now could turn into something like what you created. I think there's probably a ton of great franchise opportunities out there. But exactly like what you said, you realized how difficult it was just for you in starting your business, and you wanted to be able to give that to someone else. Helping someone really thrive in entrepreneurship, I think, is probably one of the greatest things ever because it does change your life. And so your window tinting business ultimately was able to change thousands of lives, which is amazing. So I definitely want to know, what do you feel like you did within that business that allowed you to, first off, be successful in the first place so that you could ultimately develop that framework?
So I think in the early days, it was, and I say this to everybody that's trying to grow from, say, zero to, say, $10,000 a month, maybe, right? At that particular phase of business, that first 6 figures, quite honestly, it's about sales. And some people don't like the idea of sales,
I know.
regardless of whatever business that you're in, especially if you're growing a business. Sales actually is more than just the value exchange, the currency exchange. It's also about knowing. It also gets you very, very clear on who you don't want as a customer as much as who you do want as a customer. Because you probably say yes to the wrong people quite often when you're first starting, right? You will do anything.
Yeah.
A lot of marketing agencies do this. It's like a typical thing. You know, they'll work with anyone.
Yes.
You know, they'll whore themselves out to whoever they'll pay them, right? And that's the same as like any normal business. They just say yes to anybody. And so you've got to really know, like that teaches you a lot from experience. But also the fact that some people really focus on the things that are not important. So they focus on their branding, they focus on like the way that they look, they focus on like, let's get a website, let's get this and that. And that's important. It's not like these components are not important, but what's more important is every single day making sales,
Yeah.
and you learning and iterating and listening to people as you create an experience for those people that go through that sales process, that become customers, that become advocates that you can learn from, to iterate and improve and create a feedback loop for you to get more sales. And so the first real phase is like really focusing and doubling down on sales. The next phase is like, now we have sales locked in. And I'm assuming, you know, most people probably listening to this have a niche, or they should have a niche or niche, as you would say. And so they validated their idea, so to speak, and they've probably done that through sales. We do that all the time, even for online courses. When we teach people how to do online courses, we're like, listen, do not build anything. Do not build anything. Go and sell it before you build it, right? As a
Absolutely.
minimum viable thing. So it's all about sales. Once you've got that far, then it's more about lead generation. And so we've got a way to convert people, like sell to people. How do we actually get more people to become aware, and to consider, and to ultimately engage with us in a sales conversation? And probably from a marketing, and people get confused with this, is like, marketing isn't there to do what most people think it's there for. It is there to literally provide red hot people that are qualified and ready to be sold to at that point. Most people don't really see marketing that way. They get confused with marketing and sales. And sometimes they don't focus on the right kind of marketing that allows people to do proper lead generation based marketing, where you can generate a relationship with somebody, you can build trust, and ultimately the sale part actually becomes a lot easier once you get that right. So that's kind of like the second phase of it. And for most people, that would take people to sort of multiple 6 figures in revenue, just focusing on those 2 challenges: sales first, marketing lead generation second, really.
Yeah, it's so funny because not once did you mention being the best window tinter that ever existed, because
Right.
ultimately it doesn't matter in the beginning. It does matter that you can feel great about the job that you're doing and making sure that you are providing what was promised. But most local businesses don't shut their doors because of a subpar product or service. It's because they simply don't get enough people through the door or don't have enough of those red hot leads coming in. So I think that is so very important. I see it all the time, the issues that arise mainly because of the sales process, not because of the marketing that's happening. And businesses really needing to understand that, at a certain point, they have to be working hand in hand. You have to be communicating between the two. You don't want to be promoting something that the sales team has no idea about. That's going to lead to a lot of confusion. So, in those early days, when you were focusing on sales, first and foremost, what were you doing to bring those sales in?
So, um, organic is the best place to start in most cases, because it's about validation, more than it is about trying to kind of be cheap more than anything else. So organic for us at the time was being very diligent about where we were creating awareness in different places, like physically. So as a physical location, um, supposing your location is an area that you've selected that you can create opportunities within, so there's good signage, there's probably strategic alliances that you have with other local based businesses around. So we use that as a great referral opportunity, where we would look at every associated business in the area that probably had the customers that we wanted, that had higher footfall, because in the early days we didn't have the best location. We were kind of hidden away and people wouldn't really get to see. So we would do our best with signage and things. But the best thing to do back then was to find people that had already got our customers and to go and talk with them and give them a reason why it would be an advantage to them to be able to send their customers to us, and provide opportunities to be able to do that. And we used to provide these little referral vouchers that was a little value add for them to give to their customers. And it was great. I mean, we're in the automotive sector, so there was a bit of an exact match that, when people used to have their car serviced, they would get these referral vouchers in the pack that was with the invoice and everything that they got from the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great source of free traffic for us. And that was great. And so what we would always try and do is, knowing that when we first started with these organic methods, now there's, I talk about this from kind of an online standpoint. We can generate relationships in groups. We can create groups. Like, there's so many more things now that you can do,
Mm-hmm.
that you can become recognized. You can detach yourself as a brand from your business and create you as the lead generation machine for your own business. There's lots of things that you can do locally in your area that position you as an authority, as an expert, and that there's some sort of celebrity associated to you as well. Back then, that, for me at least, that was a little harder to do because there was less social media than there is now. And I actually think that some of those methods are very much worth employing still now. And people are very, very quick to, like, let me get an Instagram account, whatever. I always make this analogy, and not to like brag upon it, but like, I don't know if you've seen my social media. Don't look at the Facebook one, because that has like 100,000 fans. So don't look at that one. But as Ollie Billson, like on Instagram, I've never, ever made one post, ever. I've never posted on Instagram. And from somebody that runs an 8-figure kind of coaching consulting business, you would think that that was like a big thing. Like, you've got to be the guy who is flaunting the private jet and the Rolls Royce and all the other things. I don't do any of that, frankly. And I don't stand against it. I think people are well within themselves to do what they want. But what I'm saying is, you don't need to do it. So don't just be sucked in as a local business for the things that you see people are doing. You're like, oh, I've got to do that. And then you become very overwhelmed with all of these things that you probably don't really understand that well, which is the reason why they should be listening to you, of course, because you can kind of distill it for them. But there's, you are kind of defined what you say no to as much as you say yes to quite often. So I'm always very conscious of that.
Wow, there was so much great stuff in what you just said. I mean, first off, I personally believe that the referral based relationship marketing for local businesses is really overlooked so much of the time. I have very rarely ever seen a business that couldn't profit significantly from just one or two really strong referral partners. So I'm the president of my BNI group. Like, I love local networking. I don't even consider myself a local business. Like, most of my clients are not local, but I do love the relationships that those things bring me and the opportunities they can provide. But ultimately, there are great referral partners for just about everyone. Yesterday, I was having a consultation with one of my students, and he has the opportunity to be a nationwide e-commerce business, but right now he's focusing on his state as a whole. Well, he is in the horse industry. So as someone who deals with horses and horse fencing, a really great referral partner for him could be a veterinarian or someone who's actually selling horses or horse gear or horse feed, any of those things. It identifies his ideal customer, which is simply someone who has a horse. So if he can develop those relationships, people will refer people they like. I mean, sometimes it's as simple as that. If someone really likes you and believes that you're not going to completely ruin their credibility by referring someone to you, it doesn't take that much. And you essentially can kind of ride on the coattails of these businesses that have done a great job and have built this solid customer base. And in terms of the social media side, I did an episode with Michaela Alexis, a couple of months ago about LinkedIn for referral partners for local businesses. You may not be out there prospecting for your actual customer, but that's where you can build those great business relationships if you don't want to put yourself out there in person. But I mean, in person in a local community, there's very few things that are going to be as powerful as long as you can sometimes get those people that can provide the recurring revenue for you through those referrals. And it's really funny you mentioned Instagram, because most local businesses spend way too much time on their Instagram profile that's not bringing in a single customer. Those people aren't even local that are engaging with you. They can't be your customer. So I think you're absolutely right. Focus on the things that are simply going to drive revenue, and you're definitely going to get ahead a lot faster. So obviously, in those days where you were building this business, you were doing a lot of things right. At what point did you decide that this is something that I'm going to create this start to finish package, essentially? And what was your process in coming up with that?
Yeah. So initially, I kind of identified that it was going to be quite hard for me to kind of duplicate like me and my
Yeah,
intellectual property and my
for sure.
know-how. And I noticed this when I hired my first employee, and my expectation was just like of me. Like,
Yes,
I'm like looking at somebody thinking that they're just going to be just like me.
it's hard.
And bless them, obviously they're not going to be just like me. I had so much more insight and experience to that they didn't have. My expectation was way high for those people. So you know, I think for me, and I've done this 3 times actually. So we're talking about one of these things, but I did it 3 times. So in the window tinting side of things, I franchised that business. And I've also done it in the car tuning business. We took franchise from 0 to, it was a license. It was more of an area exclusive
Hmm.
business in a box, from like 0 to 170 licensees in about 3 years,
Wow.
internationally in about 20 odd countries. And then I did it, and obviously I do it now in terms of next level business stuff. So I think for me, it's like identifying like how scalable is your business based upon the current format. And people like business owners don't quite realize that there are businesses inside of your business, and it takes a little bit of ingenuity to figure this out. But I'll share this quick journey with you because I think it'll illustrate to you how I did it, and then it will answer your question of like, where did you see it? So let's start with, I had a window tinting business, which was a service-based local business, bricks and mortar business. I then identified that my skills in that business would allow me to continue to grow that business. But while I was growing it, I could teach other people the skill, because now I'd acquired the skill that I could now share with somebody else, which then created a revenue stream for me. Did you lose me there, or are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay. So it created a revenue stream for me because I was able to then train other people how to do what I was doing, which was then a business inside of a business.
Mm-hmm.
Then once I trained people, I realized that those people, they needed more support, that it just learning a skill and me selling them on acquiring a skill wasn't enough. So then we created another business inside of a business by giving them an Air exclusive opportunity, right? Where we then sold more of a coaching based thing for them to give them more support. Then for everybody else, we created another business inside of a business called Car Profits that was a monthly marketing newsletter that then got them to give them in marketing information for those that didn't have the Air exclusive opportunity. So we were monetizing all of our existing leads, our know-how, our knowledge, everything that we were doing. So now we're into like 3 businesses inside of one business. One was training other people what we did. Another one was providing coaching, and another one was providing information on marketing. And then, like, as a business, we became quite good at marketing. You'd expect that, seeing as that's what we were doing. So I'd started to build a bit of a marketing team, which was cool. And some people had started to take notice that we would like marketing, and we were growing these businesses very quickly and very effectively. So what did I do? Instead of me selling my knowledge or my skill, I sold other people's knowledge, which was my team's knowledge, my team's capabilities. So now I created a marketing agency from that business because it's the same people, and we started offering that out. As it turns out, Dan Kennedy got onto what we were doing, and GKIC at the time, they hired our marketing agency for about 2 years, up until fairly recently, about a year ago when they were acquired. And from that, you know, my authority for doing all of the marketing, all of the copy, all of the funnels, everything, obviously became quite a big deal. And so we started doing marketing for more people. So Josh Turner, Mike Koenigs, Jay Abraham, Joe Polish, a bunch of other people have hired me for consulting. So then I was doing kind of high level consulting from that, again, a business inside of the agency. Mm-hmm. And then we had loads of people that wanted to learn what we were doing, but couldn't maybe afford the agency at 22 grand a month. So we had something called Players Club, which was $397 a month membership, which is my information from my marketing agency that I sold. We went from 0 to 213 members in about 3 weeks. So that was like another $1 million a year business that came out of that. And so you can see the lineage of this. And then we found out that most people then wanted like me to coach them or to come into my mastermind. So then we then created another business inside of the business, which is now Next Level Business. And I probably missed a few along the way because when I franchised my business, I had the knowledge of franchising. And for a short period, I did franchise consulting for about a year or so, selling my high-level consulting things on that. So it just kind of can grow like that. And suddenly you're a recognized leader in an industry, but for not even where it started, you know?
That is an amazing story. I mean, I was chuckling through the whole thing because it's sometimes so simple for certain people to see those opportunities, but others may miss those completely. And that is the power of, you know, coaching and consulting and having somebody help you through that. But it's just crazy that that little window tinting business very seamlessly, it feels like, grew to what it is now, which is a totally different monster, essentially. So what a powerful story. But you're right. There are so many business opportunities within the business of any business owner if they're willing to really dig in and identify what those are. Do you have any suggestions on how they may analyze their business to determine if they do have some of those similar opportunities?
Yeah, totally. It's a great question as well. So I think that every business owner has knowledge, they have skills, they have expertise, they have wisdom, they have know-how, they have an intellectual property, they have a business format. Some people might have like a weird marketing system that just works really, really well, that like works really well for them. Whatever you have, it could be as simple as like one thing that works really well. You could be a menswear store owner selling clothes, and you just have like a really cool way of like having something that you've done for maybe a long time. You know, let's just say it was like a monthly newsletter. I'm just saying you have this thing that you send them in the mail to give them your new lines of clothing. Well, that same system, although it's kind of a microcosm inside of your business, there could be hundreds of menswear owners, business owners that are like, if I had that, which I don't, but if I did, my business would grow. So that's an example of like something that you have, that information, that knowledge is something that you can leverage and you can sell, and you can sell it to other people in your business, your niche. But you could also you might have a really cool hiring process, right? And you might be like, I'm a local business, we have to hire lots of people. You could be a cafe, you could be like, coffee shop, anything. And you might have like a really cool hiring process and you've just found something that really works. Well, my guess would be you solved a problem inside of your existing business at some point. Like you solved it for yourself, and the chances are you can solve it for other people, and they're going to pay you because they don't have to go through that pain, all those challenges that you have. And in fact, that system is the toolkit, is the format that you can sell to other people. And it doesn't even have to be in your own niche. It could be to other. It doesn't have to be a vertical. It could be more of a horizontal thing. So, absolutely. The more one-to-one thing is like you're an agency and you want to package and position and productize your agency services so then you can sell information and coaching and things. That's a very logical thing. But as you said, if you're a local business, these types of opportunities, like I just mentioned, doesn't matter what type of business you are, the chances are you do something and you're successful, and you're more successful than somebody else. And that is what people will pay you for, whether it's advisory. Lots of people have come to me and gone, how are you doing that? And if you're having those conversations with other types of business owners, the chances are you're probably in a ripe position to be able to start building a bit of an expert business around you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just noticed that, like you said, local business owners, they don't really often have this mindset that a lot of people who are very heavy into the online space or into the marketing space, it's just not as common. And so it's not even something that crosses their mind on a regular basis. Most people in the online space, we do see those things a little bit more easily because we know others that have done it. And it becomes sometimes like a goal of what we want to do from the very beginning. But this is something that I feel like everybody needs to pay attention to right now. I've had these conversations really since COVID started. You as a local business owner, if you're shut down, how do you take what you know and what you can help people with and do it online? And it doesn't have to mean that you shut down your local business. If you've built this business, you have the opportunity to have different segments of your business or different delivery formats of that same business. And one of my favorite ones that I think somebody's actually going to take me up on, and I'm really excited about it, is a contractor that does virtual consultations with DIYers and helps them put together all of their product lists and a timeline and step-by-step processes. And they'll do a video call if they run into a challenge. That is literally something that is exactly what you would do as a bricks and mortar business owner. It's a group of your audience that you're never going to serve in most cases with what you do, especially if you're higher end. There are people that will never be able to afford you, and that's just the truth. But do you still want to find a way to help those people? most likely you would if
Right.
you really thought about it. And I think that that same type of example could work for so many different businesses. So I feel like now is kind of the time for local businesses to start transforming the way they think about things, because we have run into a situation that is unlike anything we've ever seen, when someone has no choice in the fact that they're not only closed, there may be no foot traffic around them. If you're a business that was even open, but everyone else around you is closed, that could completely crush your walk-in traffic. And if that's what you've relied on, things are going to have to change if you want to progress into the future. So I think this has been such an interesting conversation. The whole franchise aspect is just really interesting to me, in terms of the fact that I don't see a lot of local business owners do that. But obviously, if anyone's thinking about it, I'm sure Ollie could help you out. So what types of opportunities would you love to tell the audience about? Where can they learn more about you?
Sure. So our business now focuses on helping people really kind of do a lot of the things we've spoken about, take their knowledge, know-how, experience, business format, and explore whether and what format that it would be in, whether it would be a membership, or it would be a coaching program, or it would be a digital product or course, or a mastermind group, whatever it may be. Explore which of those is best, and then to be able to help them package that up into a high ticket, usually program. And we do that at nextlevelbusiness.com. And if you're specifically interested in talking to us and actually just talking a little bit more about how you can transcend from service to scaling your business through what we're talking about, if you go to nextlevelScaleCall.com, nextlevelScaleCall.com, you can schedule a free 45-minute diagnostic kind of consultation. It's not a sales call. It is a path we take you through to sort of see whether or not there's a fit potentially for you in the future. If there is, then that's awesome. If not, then I think you'll go away with a lot of value from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you could leave our audience with one final piece of knowledge, whether it's about what we spoke about today or something that you just feel they could benefit from, what would that be?
I would create a litmus test for what opportunities you say yes to versus those that you say no to. It's either a hell yes or it's a no. It's kind of binary. And I think focus is they're just such a powerful thing in business, that there's lots of things that we could all do, but there's only so many things that we should focus on and actually execute on. And so having that singular focus, whatever it is, if it's a specific sales number, or it's a specific thing that you're looking to try and do, just get very clear on what you're going to say yes to make that happen, and be very clear on what you're going to say no to.
I think that is wonderful advice that we all should take to heart, definitely. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure the audience is going to appreciate everything you've provided to them. So thanks again.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Ali.